In this plan with me, I'm going over February. So that's February of 2024. Plan with me. I'm using index cards. This is the index card box that I'll be working from. The box is new for me because I just recently planned my entire 2024 using these index cards. So I've got my 3 12-week years in here, as well as some items for boat projects, our usual cleaning and home management cards that are part of the card deck I've used for years. I have some personal things like recipes, storage information, contacts information. I have video and product cards. So the card deck got a little bit bigger in the month of January. I'm totally fine with that. It did take me a while. And like I said in my last video, I really did have to operate with the idea that I'm my own assistant. Future me will be grateful for all the work that I had put on. And so far, I am very grateful because I can sit down and just execute the plan and not have to think about it. And if for some reason, if someone gets sick or something comes up, I just shuffle the cards and there's a system behind it. I'm not wasting planner pages and that type of thing. So far, I'm really liking it. So this was this weekend. And so I'm just going through my Saturday cards and pulling out the cards that I need to plan for the month of February. I have my monthly review as well as the important dates card. So those are the two ones that we're working from. Earlier, I pulled out the doodle card, which is the theme for February. And that's just a reference because in just a second, you'll see what I'm doing with that to make sure that I communicate those things with their family. I have a fun card that I just showed you. So that's some things that we're doing just today through those cards. And then I have week 2 for my 12-week year. Saturday is the last day of my week 2. And so I was just finishing up and touching those cards. You can see some of the habit tracking that is involved with that particular goal. I did go over it this morning and shared that to my Instagram. It's at Time and Tide Plans on Instagram, and that shares the process of using those cards and what that looked like for week 2, my weekly accountability meeting, and how I did. So I do have a family council night coming up. That's on the last Wednesday of the month for me, and that's the 31st. So everything I prepare today is kind of being done ahead of time so I can present it to the family. And again, we can all be on the same page and I can get their input and make sure that what I'm planning for in the month of February is incorporated too. So I like to hear what their goals are. There's a whole worksheet that's included with the Just Get Started card deck of things that I've pulled from my family council. Here's some of the videos that I've worked on for the month of January. And at the end of the month, on the 31st, I'll go through and just check to see how I did. I have to say, I'm not very impressed with my YouTube this in January, and I apologize. I'm very sorry, and I feel really bad because I focused so hard on the planning that I kind of I did. I let YouTube slide when it came to this channel and really did the bare minimum. And I really do want to support everyone in their journeys when it comes to incorporating the card deck into their lifestyle, just to see how I do it and maybe grab some ideas. And plus, whether it's for education or maybe it's just fun, I like to connect with all of you. Hopefully you're finding value in these videos. Now, the card I'm working on is the monthly reflection card. That's answering a few questions about the month of January. For years, I did this in my planner. Beginning, I think it was last October, I started doing these on the monthly dividers. The monthly dividers that I have now, I just switched over, are like a thicker cardstock that's a little bit heavier. Also, in certain lights, you can see that they are a different white than like a standard printer paper, the light cards that the rest of the cards are. So only those dividers are the thicker paper. So far, I really like that. While I have this card box to look at my entire year and to plan, I still have that black bag, and I take everything in my 12-week year in the black bag. And that's how I've been working my card deck for most of the days. So the first question is to reflect back on the most memorable moments of. It's nice because each one of my days in the date dividers has a daily memory, and so I'm able to look through those date dividers and see, okay, what was it that was memorable on these days and pull from there. I did my first memory, because it just was showing right there with the one divider, was the boys in the boat. We went and saw it at our local theater, which is a really cute theater. It was on New Year's Day, and there was a lot of people in there. It's a local movie, well, local in a sense. When we were at Port Townsend, which is further south than where we're at now, we spent a winter there on the boat. Near Port Townsend was Squim, and that's where, in the book, Boys in the Boat, the main character is from. Shane read Boys in the Boat long before he read it to the boys, my boys, our boys. I found a kids version. I forget what you call it, the abridged version. It's for youth. It's like half the size of the regular book. Shane read that. My husband read that to the boys, and I listened in. It was just fun to hear all the local references, especially at the time where we were. Now, swim isn't really mentioned in the movie, but the University of Washington is. It shows some of Seattle. None of it is like the actual place. They didn't film in Seattle, but the idea. Anyway, I like the movie. It's from George Clooney, and it feels like a George Clooney movie. Just wholesome, nice movie. I published my 2023 recap video for our family on our family channel, and it's one of my favorite things to do, and I'm not very consistent with doing it because it takes a lot of time. You gather all the videos that you take and find which ones are the most memorable. And this year, it was really fun because our whole family picked, I don't know if the boys completely agreed with the song we chose, but we all kind of listened to a bunch of different songs and picked one that we all thought encompassed what felt like 2023, whereas usually I listen to the songs and just pick one. So it felt a little bit more special. And finally, for memorable moments when it comes to January, and one other thing that we did was having the freezing weather come in. And we're used to cold winters on the boat. The last two had snow, like a good amount of snow too. And it was really fun. But this one was different. It was weird. And it was freezing wind. It was so cold. And so it was an adventure for sure. And the freezing weather lasted much longer than we thought. But the nice thing is that we are on a boat, and so everything is just very self-sustainable. We had our water already. Everything is underwater as far as pipes go, and so the water was warmer than the air. Whereas the houses on land, I heard a number of people share that their pipes had burst. We did stay very warm. We have 2 heat sources on the boat, and then my husband also put up insulation as far as Breaking Bad curtains go up onto the port side of our boat, so that wind that was coming in from the northeasterly winds they just streamed down through Canada with that freezing air. We were really well protected with that, but there was quite a bit of condensation throughout the boat. That's kind of what we did for that week, is just wipe down condensation. So a few other things that I do when it comes to the monthly review is go over lessons and looking at my goals, and if the actions I took, if those memories, if the cards, the things that I skipped, if all of that plays into what it is that I'm supposed to be prioritizing that month. One of the lessons that I learned for January, just to finish up this little section, and maybe you can relate, was that January, I definitely felt like I was in just... Like my mom put it to me this way. We were chatting on Instagram, and I was telling her I cannot stand listening to my voice. I keep saying like and I was editing it, and it was making me sad. And my mom said, "You were in a slump. You see it, and now it's time to move on." And so I wrote down that as a lesson that I learned, just to move on and recognize that was then, and I can learn from it and keep trying to improve and just move on. The January divider still has those date dividers in front of them that lead up to the end of January, so everything from the 27th through the 31st. Once I finish with the 31st, that January divider is going to be filed behind December. The monthly reflection card is now being filed in front of February, waiting for the last Wednesday of the month. When that date divider goes back there, I'll file it then on a Wednesday or getting closer to that date. Same for the important dates review. I've already done, so this was something I used to do each month, was go over important dates, holidays, that type of thing, and put it onto the monthly cards. And I've already done that for the entire 2024, so I no longer have to do it. The big holiday in February, of course, is Valentine's Day. Along with that monthly card that I put the dates on, I also transfer information, important events, holidays, activities that my children do. I have a calendar for my youngest who enjoys a calendar in his bunk. And then also I have these calendars that they're a free template that's on Canva, and I modified them just for our purposes. And I've been using this one for about a year now. and you just print off a bunch of copies. You add in the dates, and then I use this on a clipboard that's hung in the salon for the family to reference. So it has activities, holidays. I put on Saturdays, I update it with the upcoming week's meal plan. Not only is that nice because my kids always like to know what they're going to be eating throughout the week, but it also keeps me accountable so that they know that they're expecting a certain meal, and then I have to produce it. So going back to the doodle month, it's a theme month, something that we've been looking forward to. That's in the month of February. February is kind of low on the holidays for us, and so the doodle month makes it exciting. I'm adding all of the doodle prompts. How many more times am I going to say doodle? So the prompts are pieces that we've each put together. Our first year when we did the doodle challenge, we picked a doodle prompt guide online, and just my youngest son and I did it. It was in my planner and he did it in the little notebook. And then last year we ended up deciding that each one of us was going to design our own prompts for a particular week. And this year is 29 days, but in the past it was easily divisible by 4. So each of us had a week. I'm pretty excited for these prompts. I think everyone did a really good job. My husband and the kids get really creative with them too. And one of the rules that we have is that you're not allowed to use photos or any type of tutorials or guides that help you design your doodle. Whereas our first year we did it, my son and I used a lot of graphics and things like that we took inspiration from for our doodles. And last year, not allowing that was really fun. So to prepare for the doodle month, what I did was grab a few packs of index cards from the grocery store. They were $1.95. They're cheap off-brand. I wanted it to be a thicker cardstock though, because last year we did the thin paper, and just being on the boat with the moisture, it's nice to have that thicker cardstock when I'm hanging them on the walls. We use painter's tape and then create kind of like a little doodle gallery around the salon. I have all the doodles from last year in my stationery box. We'll have to do a doodle presentation maybe the night before or at the family council to reflect on what we did last year. I thought about making it into a book. Might be kind of fun. I highlighted all of the doodle prompts just to do a call out. Usually I don't include any color on there just to keep it nice and simple because it's on display in our salon and we have a small space. The calendar card then goes in front of the first, along with the doodle prompts, so that when it comes to the first, I'll know what prompts are coming up. The important dates review is going to be filed again in front of February, just like I did for the monthly review. I'm sorry, we're on a boat, so the ferry comes in, and every once in a while we do sway, even though we're at the dock. This is week 3 for the 12-week year. It's all completed. It was something that I did early on. I have the cards then. You have the project cards, which I've used in the past for the other 2 12-week years. And then I have these habit trackers, which are pretty new. And I really don't mind them. I usually don't like the whole process of checking off habits, that type of thing. But when it comes to giving yourself a score, so you can be really particular about whether or not an action is effective so that you are definitely reaching a goal, you're super focused, I do like it. So this week I'm tackling a couple project cards. They're fun. I'm doing a movie. I'm just gathering movies and memoirs. As far as when I'm doing 20,000 steps, I want to have a lot of things to take in that are positive that will give me the motivation to keep going. Last week's fun card was shifting my bedtime to 9 o'clock. I forget what my score was for it, but it was not great. But the big thing is I go to bed early so that I can wake up early and get bar done when I am by myself on the boat. People are asleep, and then I have the space to do it. This is the Explore the Moon card. That is a fun card I set up last Thursday for my artist date. I did some research. I found out a lot of really cool things about the moon. For example, that it rises later on in the evening at a certain point within its cycle. So I took notes on the moon. And then I also downloaded a couple resources from NASA that allows you to create this wheel that you can chart the moon. And I'm pretty excited. I just need to buy some things to finish it this week. Tuesday, I have baking bread. I have the recipe right there as well as the action. Family council night is there. Wednesday cards are all more administrative cards. I have an empty meal plan card already so that on Wednesday I can plan those meals. Now, all these Wednesday cards, everything, because this is the 31st of January, so we're still in January. Those, once they're completed on the 31st, are going to be shuffled to the following Wednesday. So technically, this is planning for February without even having to really sit down and fill out planner pages for each Wednesday. They're all just being shuffled. I am very heavy in appointment cards right now. That was another thing that I accomplished in January, was setting up appointments, which is a big deal because we just switched providers. If you see any skipping in the video, I'm just trying to avoid showing personal information, especially when it comes to those appointment cards, because I have all of my information in one place that I can easily just jump on the phone call with someone and know exactly what it is that I need to give them as far as numbers go and that type of thing. Their phone number too, to call them, who the person is that we have the appointment with. But it's crazy how long it took to make those appointments. I don't know how people that work 9 to 5 can complete this. There's no way that you could call a provider at lunchtime and make an appointment. So just showing you that moving the January divider over behind December is what I'm going to do once January is over. All those cards that are in front of January are then shuffled behind the dates that are in front of February. That's a fun artist date card. Sorry for the jumping around. So here is some items that are really nice. So I sit down in February and I don't have to think about what it is that I have to do. I already have the cards all stacked that I need to do in front of the month of February that are more of the seasonal, annual, and then also monthly tasks. Those are ready, and I just go ahead and shuffle those in front of the dates that I'll be able to complete them. So for taxes, another appointment that I was able to make. So I filed that in front of the necessary date. Propane on the boat. We do have our oven and stove are propane, and we have 2 of them, so we switch them back and forth, and I just need to remind my husband to go replace the empty one. So that's not something I'm physically doing. Going to get the propane, it's just a card. Sometimes I hand the cards to my husband if, as a reminder, I'll set them just where he works, but usually I'll just tell him or ask him, please do this. Lunch out, I skipped this for December and January because it was Christmas time. But I do know of a date that eating lunch out would be great if I knew where we go ahead of time, so we could make maybe a healthier choice, as well as just know ahead of time what type of budget that we're working with. So I did place that card this time. These meal cards just need to be placed in front of the dates that they need to be taken care of. So for this one, it would be at the very end of February. It would be that Wednesday prior to March, which hasn't come forward yet. And here's the fun stuff. So I've printed out fun activities for 2024. I used cards that my kids are interested in doing, as well as cards that I specifically want to do. The part about the artist date is that you're supposed to do it as a solo adventure. So I have some of those that I'll put into the card deck as well and plan ahead and make sure that I actually do them. But like shake up your pizza night, that's not like something that I would... no, it could be an artist date. You could definitely, you could go shopping for interesting ingredients. You could definitely make that into an artist date, but that's more of a kid's interest that they'll do. I did a doodle scrapbook last year for our fun, Donna's Just Want to Have Fun month in March. But instead of something like a TED Talk or something informative and educational, I did doodles of the movie Son-in-Law, which had been years before since I'd watched it. There were so many catchphrases that it was fun to make doodles and cute little things. So that was really fun. But this time I'll do it on something more serious. So I'm just looking for an artist date because this is something that would be more of a Thursday type of an activity that's just for me that I'm interested in. And I'm filing that in front of the Thursday that doesn't have a fun card in front of it yet. Here's some other cards that I had filed in front of February to do as fun pieces. Make a music playlist is actually one that is fun, but is also highly practical because March I'm going to be walking 20,000 steps a day, and I'd like to have music that is aligned with the beats per minute that I need to make a certain amount of steps. Especially if you're trying to make up steps on the end of the night, it's nice to listen to fun, catchy music. And I have a playlist right now for it, but it would be nice to update it. So I went ahead and filed that. Making a magazine, there is a video from someone that had a gear catalog where it was items that she recommends that she put into this really cute catalog. And I thought that was so fun and also super practical because that way it would make it really easy to find all of my free downloads as well as my products and some of the things that I recommend and use in a cute catalog. And with that in mind, making business cards, not only for the business, my business, but also for calling cards for our boat when we're out and about over the summer. It would just be nice when we're meeting new people to be able to hand them a calling card. I forget what they call it, a boat card when it comes to cruisers. Cruisers card? I don't know. The create a podcast fun card I almost put away because I was like, I don't want to do this. But talking about my slump and my inability to say words correctly sometimes, I do feel like a podcast would be highly beneficial because I was thinking about it and I don't know how often I speak like this where I'm talking nonstop, or even if I'm talking to another person, talking about myself or a story or something I know about. I don't think I do that very often. If I speak with another person, I'm often asking them about themselves. Sometimes, actually, I want to say maybe 80% of the time, I don't ask them and they just talk about themselves, which is totally fine with me because I love hearing stories and hearing about their lives. But I don't very often speak in real life or even hear that often like that. So more practice would be great. Going through the card deck for February of 2024. Ooh, cookies. That sounds good. I have my cleaning the vacuum card. I do once a month. Valentine's Day meal plan cards. That's going to be a fun one. So I can create some kind of fun stuff around there. Etsy inspiration. I'm looking forward to seeing how people put things on their storefronts, as well as just looking for things around my home and how I could maybe optimize certain areas. Now, one of the things that I did off camera later that night was to finish preparing the next, I don't remember how many weeks I got through. So I have those scorecards done at least through the month of February. And then I have these task or action cards already set up as well. So the week 4 was just sitting there nicely until those date dividers were prepared and ready in front of February for me to file them. I wanted tester water because I've been reading Dr. Dale Bredesen's book about stopping Alzheimer's, and it's a book that I read maybe like 4 years ago or so, and it was very influential for me, and it's something I definitely think about. But I got his second book. It talks a lot about heavy metals and fun stuff like that. I just want to see what it's like, especially because we bounce around a lot to different ports, but we use filters. So I want to see what's going on. I really love the fun card for focusing your day around gratitude. You set an alarm and you do a gratitude exercise once every hour. And when I was working, I would do that every once in a while. And if you're having kind of a bad day, you're out at your job and then you just get a chance to like go to the bathroom or have a quiet time and be able to do what you're grateful for. It's fun. Again, I'm sorry for the skipping around with the cards, but this is my personal card deck, my actual schedule and what it is that I'm focusing on. So this isn't just for show or for fun, and there's personal stuff in it. The video divider for February is blank, and I'm going to keep it that way until the end of the month so that I can come at it from an educated, I can see what the results were and be able to know what it is that I want to do for the month of February for sure. March is going to be so many fun cards because that's my fun month, which corresponds with the 20,000 steps a day and my health goals. So I'm really excited for all of it. It's going to be something fun. It's something to look forward to, which is really the most important thing, especially on nights like this where it's cold and windy. So that was February. I hope you have a great time finishing your plans for February. I'm very grateful to my assistant for setting all of the month up so I don't have to think about it. I just show up to the day and can go with the flow, shuffling cards and being in a positive, happy frame of mind as I go throughout my days. Thank you so much for watching and for being here.